All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, Shipping Nation YouTube station? It's me, Nades, back with the divisional breakdown here. We got a fun one on tap, 5:30 Central Time in the Lord's time zone with PGA back. Have to hit the old Lord's time zone. Shout out to our guy DGen75, the big guy in the sky watching down over all of us. Hopefully you got some nice PGA sweats going on this Sunday. Hopefully you got some nice main slate sweats going on for the two-day, 4-game overall divisional rounds. Had some good football yesterday. Rest in peace to Bo Nix out there. Very, very hurtful to see. Sucks to see that. I mean, we get Jarrett Stidham next week. I mean, Patriots end up winning today. What a easy schedule they had, and what a run to the Super Bowl now with Bo Nix getting injured there. I was really excited to see, hopefully, Drake May and Bo Nix next week go at it. But it'll be Jarrett Stidham after Bo Nix fractured a bone in his ankle and needs some surgery. So that's pretty tough to see. And then, wow, Seahawks, man, just put the old belt to the behind for the 49ers there. 49ers just, man, injury riddled team left and right all season long. Kittle goes down. McCaffrey gets injured mid-game. Some other stuff happens there. And, hey, Seattle just their defense just reigns. And we're going to have probably potentially Sam Darnold in the Super Bowl again. So should be fun to see there. Vikings fans are probably kicking themselves in the foot there for Mr. Sammy D, just letting him walk and starting Mr. 9. Didn't work out that great so far, but time will tell overall. But in regard to this game, we got the Rams. We got the Bears tonight here. 48.5 point total. I believe the total opened at 45.5, somewhere up there. It is up to 48.5. Rams are 3.5 point favorites on the road here. In terms of weather, I'm seeing about 10 to 15 mile an hour sustained winds through the duration of the game. Temperatures in the 20s, but the feel like temperatures going to be in the single digits. So what does that do for the team from the West coming out here to the Midwest, coming to Chicago to play at Soldier Field there? Could be interesting, right? It is freezing cold. I was just outside myself here driving back from Chicago this morning, and man, it's pretty windy and it's freezing cold out there. So it's definitely going to be cold. How much that affects the game, I'm not really sure how much it affects too much. Both of these teams really lacking defense in general. I expect this game to be back and forth, to go pretty crazy. In regard to the injury report, Rome Odunze looks like he's going to play. He is questionable still, but with that foot injury, does plan to play. So expect the Bears to be pretty fully healthy on offense there. And then they're also getting C.J. Gardner-Johnson back in the secondary on the defensive side of the ball, but Nick McLeod is still out for Chicago, the DB there. Rams basically fully healthy. Ferguson's good to go. All their O-linemen and Witherspoon is also back as well from the IR there. So Rams fully healthy, Bears healthy as well. Should be a fun one overall. Both these teams, like I talked about, their defenses have struggled, and I expect points. I think Vegas expects points, 48.5 point total. Pretty big total in general going into this game. Again, game in Chicago. So let me go ahead and pull up SaberSim here with the one-man booth. Apologize for that. Ham had some stuff come up there. So jumping on here to break it down for you guys the best I can as a one-man show here. I have the dry run here up on the screen. I ran 150 teams right over here, just with an average of our projections and SaberSim's. No surprise, right? Puka Nacua going to lead the charge in terms of captain ownership. He is all the way up at 18K. And what that's going to do, because value overall is pretty weak on the slate. Well, if I jump over to the flex, you're going to see the common value plays. Kyle Monangai in a split with DeAndre Swift there, but Monangai at $4,000 cheaper than DeAndre Swift. Very easy click for people just to go in and click Monangai. They're basically in like a 55-45 split, 60-40 split in terms of rush share, but in terms of route participation and overall the snaps out of the backfield, things like that, Monangai is pretty much a 50-50 split and does get some of that hurry up offense type role and the down and distant or the short and distance type settings there. So Monangai, basically this split for the Bears backfield is very similar, right, to the Rams on the other side of this ball between Blake Corum and Kyron Williams. Kyron Williams, 9,200, Corum at 4,200. So you got $5,000 between those two. And then you got $4,000 between the Bears. So naturally, that's going to push a lot of people tonight going into these value running back, right? These RB2s or 1A, 1B type roles that however you want to word it, right? In Monangai getting a ton of ownership as a value play. Higbee's going to be very popular. And then Blake Corum because of the value overall. It's very, very tricky with Davante Adams coming back for the Rams last week. That obviously shot Mumfield pretty much in the foot. Xavier Smith ran majority of the 3 receiver sets. Got about 50 or 60% of the snaps, somewhere in that ballpark there overall. So, man, makes the value pretty tough in general. So obviously you're going to have to make a choice, right? With Puka up top. Let me go ahead and put a filter on here so we can talk through it a little bit easier and get rid of some of these donkeys down at the bottom. But yeah, like I said, Puka. Interesting thing that I like to do here is even if I go to one unique here and just see true projections, obviously Puka, right? Naturally, all the way up at the top, 60%. The common roster construction tonight is definitely going to be 4-2 Rams overall, as you can see here, but 42% of the 150 builds over on the right-hand side in terms of projected score are 4-2 Rams with Puka up top. And that's where, again, look at this. Kyle Monangai, Blake Corum, second and third in terms of ownership in the flex. No surprise at 4K, 4,200. You're still able to get the quarterbacks in there. And then basically the tight ends is next. Colston Loveland right now it looks like peak Trey McBride in this offense has really kind of emerged down the stretch here of the season. So he's going to be a really, really good play in general. He's 7,600. So again, what I do all this to say that the value on the slate is pretty tough, and you're going to find yourself in very, very similar roster construction as the field if you do go Puka up top. I get it, right? Puka is clear far and away. The Rams offense runs through Puka. I get Davante Adams, right? Gets the goal line, and he's kind of the merchant in the red zone there. So when we get into the captain talk here in a second, I'll talk through that a little bit. But if you are going Puka up top, like projections indicate, like the field wants to, Puka projected right around 25 to 30% ownership up top. The next closest is down at Davante Adams at 10%, right? To leverage that. And then it's pretty much spread out. So I'm tonight probably going to take an underweight approach on Puka Nacua. The reason being is I just don't think the value is very great in general. I think the rosters are going to be very similar to the rest of the field. When you take a look at this value play, these values over here, I mean, you got Parkinson at 3,600, and then you got the Bears defense. I mean, yeah, they can force some turnovers. It's going to be cold. Stafford could make some mistakes, things like that. They're fine, but they're still 3,400. And then you got Higbee at 3,200. That's where people are really going to round out their teams, because after that, I mean, you got Kmet, Zacchaeus, Ferguson, Mumfield, who barely ran any snaps last week with Davante Adams back. Tutu Atwell, same thing. Davis Allen. I mean, the best value down here is going to be Xavier Smith, in my opinion. He's going to be probably 5 to 10% on, which isn't anything crazy. But again, you're trying to strike lightning in a bottle with him. He ran a lot of routes and got majority of the 3 wide receiver snaps. But again, the Rams do like to run a lot of 13 personnel with the tight ends. So again, $1,200. He's probably my favorite value in general if you're going down below like that 3K, 3,200 range. But again, overall, the value is pretty weak. So that takes me back to the captain position here. Talking about the captains on the slate, Puka Nacua, can't really say much about him. I'm going to probably be underweight on the field just because I'm not playing 150 teams. I'm playing 20 max and then a couple in the main lotto contest. And it's just, you're going to have to get the kind of bum right or just build Puka rosters differently and avoid the common roster Puka captain team. So if I filter here, right, and filter to the common Puka teams, you're going to look at the exposure, right? It's going to be Stafford in the flex. So maybe you play Puka up top and you play Caleb Williams over Matt Stafford in the flex because you're saying Puka can get there on PPR volume alone, and maybe Caleb with his rushing upside just outdoes Matt Stafford, right, in general. So that's one way to get different. As you see, only about 35% of the Puka teams are coming with Caleb Williams instead of Matt Stafford. So if I take Matt Stafford away, you see right there, only 12 lineups of the Puka teams come with Caleb Williams in the flex and not Matt Stafford. So I think that's one way to get unique there. But another way is just avoid the Monungais and Blake Corums, which does feel pretty gross in general, but that will make you different as well. So when you're playing Puka up top, be weary on how you play him, right? Get different in the flex, get different with some of these value plays in general, just because you're going to fall into very similar roster constructions, and the 150 maxers are definitely going to get probably an overweight stance on Puka and have you covered in majority of those angles, especially if you're playing less than 150 teams, 20 max, single entry, things like that. I just play to win, and I see clear avenues for some leverage opportunities. I'm going to start with Matt Stafford. I think Matt Stafford's a really, really good option up top. Getting Davante Adams back, that adds another guy he can spread it out to. Xavier Smith, like I talked about, still running a ton, getting a bunch of snaps, over 50% of the snaps, and he's still running routes. So he's still got the opportunity out there. So I like Matt Stafford up top. I think he's a pretty good leverage option up top in the captain. So I don't mind him. I like Caleb Williams up top for sure. On the other side, we've seen what Caleb can do, especially in trail scripts. I mean, they were trailing 24-6, right? Or 21-6, 24-6 at halftime of that Packers game. And Caleb Williams in the second half just absolutely went nuclear. And he's got upside with his legs there in terms of the rushing prop. Looking at Caleb Williams there, he's got a 19.5 rushing prop. So Vegas thinks he's going to have to use his legs. That's what he's best, scrambling outside the pocket. So I think Caleb Williams has a lot of upside in the captain position. He's going to be around 10%, maybe under, with Puka coming probably. I can probably see this just based on projection wise, Puka getting to that 30 to 32% range, somewhere in that ballpark. And these other guys capping out at probably 10 to 12% max, just due to the nature of Stafford's going to garner some, Caleb Williams is going to garner some, right? Davante Adams is going to get some as a leverage off of Puka. So these guys are going to get held in check, and I like both quarterbacks for sure. Up top, I'll start with them. I do like Davante Adams, and if I'm playing Davante Adams, I'm probably not going to play Puka in the flex, just because I'm saying Davante is just going to get there. And maybe he gets the two 1-yard touchdowns, 2 3-yard touchdowns, right in the red zone, at that back shoulder fade, jump ball that Stafford likes to throw him. He does own the red zone compared to Puka. So maybe it's Davante Adams, and Puka just has maybe a middling game, right? He goes like 6 for 112 and no touchdown or something. And at his salary in the flex at 12K, maybe that's not enough. So I think Davante Adams up top is very interesting. And then some of the other guys, Colston Loveland, I think is playable up top as well, just because it gets you on that more middling captain type build at 11.4. He's the 7th highest priced guy, so it gets you off of some of those chalky value options in general. So I think Colston Loveland up top is pretty interesting there. And then the other two guys I'll mention are both the running back ones, in my opinion, Kyron Williams and DeAndre Swift, just because so much of the field is going to go with Blake Corum and Monungai, who I think are good plays in the flex for sure. However, what if it is just the Kyron Williams? It's not Davante Adams in the red zone, right? Maybe it is Kyron Williams, pass interference, whatever, right? We saw these Zebras so far all season, right? Making these plays. I mean, they did it in the Bills and the Broncos game. Say what you want about that. I had no horse in the race, and I thought some of those calls were tic-tacky. I mean, you could call a holding play every single play in the NFL football in the NFL, and you get to overtime there, and then you start calling stuff that's been you bet and let slide all week or all game, excuse me. So things like that. I think Kyron and DeAndre Swift would be the other two captains that I would look at, just as sheer leverages off the field. I mean, DeAndre Swift, I think he's pretty high upside. We got him around a 7% captain optimal rate right now, and I think he's pretty interesting. I mean, 56.5 rushing prop is right there with Kyron Williams. I get you look at Colin Monungai 36.5, Blake Corum at 46.5. So overall, I think they're interesting and just puts you on a different script, right? Maybe you go like a DeAndre Swift up top and do a 4-2 Bears build instead of the popular Puka captain with four for Rams. So I think little things like that are interesting as well. You look at Swift, 13.5 receiving prop, which isn't great by any means, but again, does still have some receiving up there, and his rushing prop is right in line there. You look at anytime touchdown scorers, Kyron plus 115, DeAndre Swift plus 150. They're right there. The only two guys favored to score in this game are Puka and Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams actually has the best touchdown prop on the slate there. So for me, to summarize it, captain, I'm going to be under the field on Puka. He's a great play. By all means, go ahead and play Puka, but I'm just going to take a stand, be underweight on him, and be over on guys like Stafford, Caleb Williams, Devontae Adams for sure, and then Loveland. And then my kind of down the board guys would be Swift and Kyron Williams. Probably not going to navigate too much outside of those. I think you could potentially flirt with a Luther Burden there, but with Rome coming back, there's just a lot of mouths to feed in this offense, especially with what you would call it, the emergence of Loveland. If I were to take another shot on a pass catcher, I'd probably just go to Rome Odunze at 10.5. Everyone's kind of sold this guy off. So at 10.5, Rome Odunze, if you're looking for some more guys, I think him at 10.5, he kind of fits that same build as the Loveland type captain, right? Where you can get on a different roster construction than what the field is. So if I were to take a shot on them, I'd probably go to Rome Odunze. He was obviously very, very involved early on in the season in this offense, kind of taking a back seat lately, dealing with injuries in and out of the lineup, things like that. But no better time than to showcase him here against an offense or against the defense that is porous as well. And I think the Bears are going to have to chuck the ball in general here. So I don't mind taking a shot on him. Nobody's going to click that name, Rome Odunze, especially if he is good to go, right, with the questionable take coming in. Jumping over, talking some of the flex here. By no surprise, right? It's going to be in the flex in terms of quarterback. Stafford's going to get played at a much higher clip, in my opinion, than Caleb Williams, especially with that Puka captain type. So I like the idea of, if you are going Puka captain, definitely take a look at thinking about Caleb Williams over Stafford in the flex. Both are great options for sure. I want min one of these quarterbacks. I like the rosters with two quarterbacks as well, especially in flex builds where you're fading Puka in the captain and the flex, right? Getting both quarterbacks and just saying, hey, this is just going to be spread it out. Maybe some of these wide receiver 2s, 3s, tight ends 2s and 3s get mixed in more. The running backs get some receiving work, and these quarterbacks are just do more for points per dollar wise than what Puka does, which is scary. But again, it's a one game that you're trying to win all the money, right? So I don't mind that. In regard to the running backs here, very, very clear in this one. The field's going to flock to Monangai and Blake Corum for a good reason, right? I'll bring up the props talk again. The rushing props are basically right there with both of these guys. I mean, Kyron Williams, 61.5, Blake Corum, 46.5. And you're looking at a $5,000 price difference, right? That's why the ownership is up there. And that's why Blake Corum's going to get played. DeAndre Swift, 54.5, Monangai, 36.5. But again, $4,000 price difference, and people want to play Puka, these stud spend up wide receivers and captain options, right? You have to play these guys as value plays, right? So I think they're both good value plays, but when you play, when playing these guys, maybe play them with their other running back, right? And just build a different script. Or like I talked about, playing these guys with one of those mid-tier captains, like a Rome Odunze, like a Loveland, and get different that way, or play them with the quarterback captain, something like that, right? Just use these guys differently than what the field is. They're both great plays for sure. The leverage is actually going to be going to the starters here, Kyron Williams and DeAndre Swift. Nobody's going to want to click these guys at 9,200 and 8K over the receiving games and the quarterbacks, and even Loveland in that similar price point. So I think that's a great option. Is both these running backs are going to get overlooked in the flex, probably for a good reason. But again, we don't know what's going to happen in this game. It's a one-game sample, and I'm just playing what the field is doing. And I think Kyron Williams and DeAndre Swift are both great options in the flex. And I think the field is just going to kind of bypass them a little bit just due to roster construction-wise. So I like all four running backs. Definitely Monangai and Blake Corum are two of the most popular guys on the slate for good reasons. Their props align, their projections are there, and their price differences compared to the starters there. So again, you could flip it and just go with more of Kyron and DeAndre Swift and get different that way, because I think they're going to come in under owned to potentially what their upside could be here. So don't have much more to say about that. Jumping over to the wide receivers here, Puka, Devontae Adams, obviously great options. Devontae Adams at $3,000 cheaper in the flex than Puka Nacua. I don't love that, to be honest, in the flex. Outside of Stafford type captain builds, I'd probably rather just play. It's tough with both of these guys. I mean, Puka can get there on the floor alone. Devontae seems like TD or bust, and if he is getting the touchdowns, I probably prefer him more up in the captain and just say he's getting all the way there. He's going to get 2 touchdowns, pick up whatever else he does, and that's enough up top. Puka, I think, is fine in both, obviously, just with the floor that he displays. His props are off the chart here in this game for sure. Obviously, it's a great matchup against Chicago. I mean, he's got a 96.5 receiving prop. That's 40 yards higher than anyone else on this, 43 yards, higher than Devontae Adams. And then Loveland sitting there at 55.5. So, I mean, he's 40 yards clear of anyone else. Reception, same thing. I mean, he's got a 7.5 reception prop juiced to the over in this game. So I'm not saying anything you guys don't know, right? Puka's a great option, but Devontae Adams at 9K does feel a little steep. Both these guys are great. I want to talk about the Bears. Rome Odunze and DJ Moore are going to get overlooked here for sure. Everyone's just going to click that $5,600 Luther Burden or click the Colston Loveland in that same range at 7,200 over Rome Odunze and DJ Moore. DJ Moore is having a hell of a postseason here. I get it. He is boom or bust. But I think my biggest leverage play on the slate is going to be Rome Odunze. I think he's just going to come in. He's going to be good to go. And why not lean on your highly valuable, right, rookie here in Odunze overall. So he's sandwiched, like I talked about, right, between Loveland and Burden, who's going to be more popular. And I mean, we've seen Rome have crazy games. It's been some time since he has, but at 7K, especially in Caleb captain builds or just as a different roster construction, I mean, the dude's going to be 10 to 12% owned. I'll take a chance and be overweight on that with the talent and the upside he displays. DJ Moore kind of fits that same script there. I mean, look at their projections, 7.6, 7.9. You got Luther Burden projected for a full point and some change higher than both of them, and he's 5,600. So, not much more to say with the receivers there. My favorite value play is going to be Xavier Smith. If I'm taking a shot on one of them, just because he's running the three wide receiver sets for the Rams for majority of those when he's out there. He ran around on 50% of the dropbacks last week. Didn't get a target, but again, he's going to be on the field, and all it takes is one shot. So I don't mind some Xavier Smith down there. In terms of the ancillary guys for the Bears, I'm not really dabbling outside of Burden, DJ Moore, and Rome Odunze. I mean, if you want to take a stab at Zacchaeus just because he's 2,800, he's going to be unowned. I'd probably rather prefer that in like Caleb Williams type captain builds as a way to boost Caleb overall point production with a guy like that because he's going to be unowned. Not really going to mess with any of these other guys. So let's jump over and talk tight ends here. Let me get receivers off the screen. Tight ends, Loveland, fantastic play. Props suggest he's got the best receiving prop on the slate for the Bears. He's got a 5 receptions prop. Again, 56.5 receiving prop. Been heavily involved down the stretch the last 4 or 5 weeks plus the playoffs so far. Loveland, great option, 7,600. He's going to be played as such. That's why I'm talking about the leverage with guys like DJ Moore and Rome Odunze there. But Loveland, not much more to say about him. Parkinson and Higbee. Parkinson, I think, is good. I don't know how much I love these guys. I prefer more in kind of captain type builds with the quarterbacks or just taking a stand with the lower owned guys, which are both going to be, they're both going to be right around that 20% range. The one guy I think that nobody really wants to click on at all is Cole Kmet. We've seen Cole Kmet still be involved in this offense. Again, Caleb Williams type captain builds. Cole Kmet's another guy that fits that script. I prefer him more so than a guy like Zacchaeus, but I think he's fine as well. This is where the value is going to come from outside of Loveland. I mean, Parkinson, Higbee are 3,600, 3,200, 3K for Kmet, 2,600 for Ferguson. Don't really love Ferguson a ton, but again, I think he's fine. Much prefer Higbee of all of them over the rest. And then Loveland, but I think Komet would be my third favorite tight end in general behind Loveland and Higbee. The four I really want to play are Higbee, Parkinson, Loveland, and Komet, not messing with the other guys too much. Takes us to kickers and defenses here. Mevis, great kicker. Santos, great kicker. Bears are more than willing to kick field goals. Same thing with the Rams here. I think both kickers are good and provide a nice floor overall, and you can avoid some of that some of that value range. They're both going to be owned as such, 25 to 30%. And in playoffs, you can see teams take the points more so a lot of times, right, than go for it. So I think both kickers have a good floor here. 5K, 4,800. They're both fine for me. Defenses that don't love a ton, but neither does the field, right? They're going to be sub 10% owned on the slate. I think if I wanted to play one, I'd lean more so on the Bears side, just because the Bears have forced a bunch of turnovers all year. I think they lead the league in forced in turnovers, interceptions, fumbles, things like that. And not only that, the field is going so heavy on 4-2 Rams type builds, taking a shot on a $3,400 Bears defense over all of those tight ends and all that ownership in that range, that Parkinson, Higbee, those guys are all going to get played significantly higher clip than the Bears defense here. I think the Bears defense is a little bit sneaky here. Rams defense is fine, but 4,400 is a much harder pill to swallow than a $3,400 defense. So defenses don't really have a strong stand one way or the other. Not going to take much to get over the field. I think the Bears defense is pretty sneaky here overall. That's pretty much the slate here. Again, did my best to walk through it here. It's a little tricky on a one-man booth, but again, it's pretty cut and dry on how the field is going to build, at least projections wise. It's going to be Puka up top, 4-2 Rams heavy. Stafford's going to lead the flex over Caleb for sure. So like all the things I talked about earlier, right? Going Puka up top with Caleb over Stafford in the flex, things like that, or avoiding the Manungais and the Blake Corums and just building a different roster construction. If that means you have to get off one of the quarterbacks and not play both quarterbacks, things like that, little things that get different, I think is going to be the way to the top here tonight. But overall, hoping for some more good football here, hoping for a good game, good back and forth. I like both these teams. Offensive wise, both the teams' defenses are pretty porous, so I think we see points regardless of the cold weather here. I don't think it affects it too much. I'm not really too afraid of the winds. 10 to 15 mile an hour sustained is not great. Gusts are probably going to be 20 plus, but again, not too worried in general. I think both of these teams are very well capable to move the ball at will. And overall, I think broke it down pretty good. Good luck tonight in those contests. Hope to see those Shipping Nation logos up at the top and end this divisional weekend with a little shipper here. So without further ado, we're out of here. Good luck tonight. Hope again, let's ship all the money, and hopefully you're having a good 4-game slate as well, and a good PGA sweat down the stretch. Love this time of the year for sports. I will be back, I believe, next Sunday as well to break down the showdown game, whether it is going to be the winner of the Patriots and the Texans versus the Broncos in the late window, or the winner of this game versus the Seahawks in the late game. One way or the other, we'll be back to break down that as well. But that's it. I'm out of here. Good luck, like I talked about. And again, hope everyone ships all the money. Peace.